Welcome to episode 15, the Nikola Jokic episode of the Blasting Basketballs podcast. I'm your host, Steve Gino, joined by a couple close friends, Colin and JJ. How's it going, guys?
How's it going, Stevie? Good to see you. How you been holding up in these times of COVID?
My life hasn't really changed too much. I've been pretty much doing the same stuff I was pre-COVID, like going for walks, playing video games. Nothing too crazy. What about you guys?
I wish I could go for a walk. I broke my ankle recently. Really, Dak Prescott it or Gordon Hayward did it, as you might say, as I've been told. It was a tough scene. It hurt really bad. But it's on the road. It's on a good road to recovery now, and it's added a little bit more boredom to my life, but it's all right. I've been watching some UFC, just reading up on basketball, sports. It's great.
Yeah, those stitches you got look nasty.
They were gross. I will definitely say that they were gross. The staples, you guys are lucky I didn't show you the staples because those were even worse. Let me tell you. Oh. But yeah.
Yeah, you've gotten into UFC a lot too.
Yeah, that's that thing I'm into most nowadays. Colin Ballin MMA. Follow me on Twitter. Shameless plug. But yeah, I'm a big fan of UFC.
You've been looking into starting a UFC podcast, right?
I have been trying to get Rich into it, been trying to get you into it.
Tyler.
We'll see. Ty too. Ty, I think, is a lost cause, but we'll see. I think Ty talking about UFC is something that people really want to see. So I think we're gonna try and bring it to him.
Yeah, I think he would get askrined.
Like 5 seconds. Just dispose of him. Send him to the Shadow Realm.
All right, JJ, how you doing? Like, how have you been holding up with the whole COVID situation? What's up with you?
Been doing pretty good. I just came home from college a week ago on the dot. It's a bit of a different semester. We couldn't leave our house. Tested twice a week. Some remote classes. Wasn't great, but we got through it. Now we got a ton of sports on TV. It's really fun to watch. Been watching a lot of college basketball these past 2 days. It's been really fun.
How long are you home?
I just want to say that I love the overwhelming. I'm just getting smacked in the face with sports every day. I wake up, it's like noon, sports, and then they're on till like 10 p.m. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy with the whole pandemic going on.
How it got changed. Yeah.
Yeah, all the scheduling is a little bit wacky, and actually the Steelers and Ravens, they just had to get their game switched it was switched to Sunday, and now it's switched to Tuesday. So
that's
just a whole lot of crazy stuff going on.
Yep.
Yeah, the NFL has been postponing a lot of games I've seen, like kind of switching around the schedule a lot.
Yeah, they're in trouble now because before they would just postpone a game and switch bye weeks around, but now they're past all the bye weeks. So if they need to cancel one now, it's fully going to be canceled unless they add an extra week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on to basketball. I think the biggest thing that impacted us as Celtics fans was the Hayward signing with Charlotte. There was an initial outrage among Celtics fans. I understand you can get angry with Hayward just walking away for nothing, but he had so much slander against him during his time in Boston. There's just kind of a double standard going on there with Celtics fans. Colin, I know you've talked about it. You posted that meme of Hayward leaving, and Celtics fans why'd you leave for nothing? But at the same time,
that was it's a super weird situation because Celtics were practically begging him to leave for almost his entire ever since he came back from the injury. Didn't even give him any time off the injury. We're just get out of here. And now he's gone, and they're pissed about it. They're kind of up in arms about it. I think the thing is they wanted something in return, but I don't think they're going to get it. There's still a possibility of that sign and trade, but I don't think it will happen. And even if it does, I don't think there'll be much value behind it.
So we pretty much gave up Hayward and got in return Tristan Thompson, Jeff Teague, and Naismith. Are you satisfied with that?
I was really satisfied with the Naismith pick, and I know JJ was too. That was JJ's guy from the beginning. So,
Steve, I don't know if you remember my last time on the podcast. I gave you a couple sleepers in the draft. Aaron Nesmith was my first sleeper. I've been wanting him ever since draft talk started. I'm really happy.
Oh yeah, you're the college basketball specialist. So why do you think he fell? Why do you think he fell so far?
He did only play 14 games last year, so I think that's a big reason. He had a foot injury. I think some teams were worried about that. There was also some questions I've seen about whether he's going to develop like great offensively, other than just being like an elite knockdown shooter. And honestly, I'm not really concerned about that because even if he doesn't become fantastic offensively, he's already pretty athletic. It's just a question of whether he's going to be able to use his skill set like great offensively. But even if he doesn't, pretty much all the Celtics need right now is that lockdown shooter on the wing. Like we already have the scoring coming from Kemba, Tatum, and Brown. We're not really going to count on him unless we get into a bad injury scenario. Not really going to count on him to do much more than just play like a 3-and-D guy, and I think he fits that role perfectly.
I think a lot of Celtics fans are expecting him to make like an immediate impact. Do you think he's capable?
I think he is one of the guys in the draft that is more capable of making an immediate impact. You know, like depending on like what your role in college is and what they expect your role to be in the NBA, sometimes it's tough to make the jump, especially like when you're just like expected to score at the level. Like I could see even like higher up in the draft, like someone like Anthony Edwards who played at Georgia. Not a great team. Like it might be tough for him to make the jump because he's just going to be counted on to score all the time. Whereas Nesmith, he knows his role. It's going to be 3-and-D, and he did that in college. Well, he did more than that in college. I think he's definitely going to be able to just be a 3-and-D guy right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
JJ, I think you talked about on that NBA draft preview episode, you were like, the problem with a lot of college guys is they don't understand their role. Like they always want to be the star of their team, but sometimes you just got to be that 3-and-D guy or that rebounder, and a lot of guys just want to lead the show, and that's an issue and holds them back. One guy for the Celtics that's becoming a quick fan favorite.
Let's go.
Peyton Pritchard.
Oh, yes, baby. Watching Oregon football right now. They just scored a touchdown. I'm actually, I kind of just jumped out of my seat right there when you said Peyton Pritchard. I'm pretty excited for this guy. And I feel like there might be a little bit of irony behind it, but he seems like a hard worker. He did a lot in college. He has a great college resume, and I feel like he'll adapt really well to the Celtic system. I feel like one Marcus Smart might take him under his wing and turn him into a dog.
Yeah, he played 4 years in college, right?
Yep.
JJ, did you know a lot about him before the draft?
I did. I'm going to be honest. Right when they picked him, I was very displeased. It's kind of grown on me a little bit, though. It has kind of grown on me. I think a lot of my initial reaction was the fact that he's like another undersized point guard. And, we already have Kemba, obviously. And then we already have Carson Edwards off the bench. We kind of have Tremont Waters on the 2-way contract. And it's like, did we really need another undersized point guard? But, I mean, I guess Carson Edwards was a little disappointing last year. And so, like, Peyton Pritchard could really step in. He's more of a facilitator and passer than Edwards is. Edwards is much more of just, like, a straight scorer. Pritchard, very good facilitating the offense, very good defensively. I don't hate the pick as much as I previously did. I'm interested to see what he'll do. But also, I think some of the me being worried a little bit was, as you said, he's a 4-year college player, had a great college career. Last guy we drafted with a great college career would be Carson Edwards, and I would not say his first year lived up to my expectations.
Remember that random? Yeah.
I actually have higher hopes for Peyton Pritchard than I do for Tremont Waters and Carson Edwards, though. I feel like he has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, me too.
And while he is an undersized guard, like quote unquote, like he's our tallest guy who plays the 1 at the moment, I think. So. He's 6'1".
Yeah, he's not tall.
Oh, okay.
Tall, but that says like our point guards, like Tremont Waters is 5'10", Kemba's 6 feet. But
jeez, 5'10".
Yeah,
really small.
You remember that random poster that Carson Edwards had on James Harden?
Yeah, that actually was like
it was so random.
Matrix or something.
I still have some hope for Carson. I think it's really just his confidence level because like he was either low 30s or high 20s from 3 last year. That's like terrible. And he was like an elite shooter in college. I just don't really see like he didn't have a talent drop off or anything. I really just think it's his confidence level. If you can get that confidence level up, I think he could contribute this year. Not a ton, just like some scoring off the bench if we need it. Can't really do much else.
I know he's kind of like a laid back guy, but it kind of seems like he should kind of put himself out there more. Really kind of like try and insert himself into the Celtics offense and become a knockdown shooter. Because I feel like that will be, that's one of the best things he can bring to the Celtics.
Yeah, in college, he brought a lot of quick offense, and he could like be really helpful like later down in the season or like a playoff run, like a little spark plug off the bench, like if you're down a little bit, like late in the first half, gets the momentum going into halftime, end of the quarter, something like that. It's always good to have momentum in the NBA playoffs, and I feel like he's a guy that could potentially provide that just off the end of the bench.
Yeah, and I actually have a correction. Peyton Pritchard is not our tallest guard. It actually is now one of our pickups over the offseason. It's Jeff Teague. Not that height has anything to do with it that much, but how do you guys feel about that Jeff Teague signing?
Solid bet.
I like it.
Earlier in his career, he was actually like a star player for the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked watching him before. I don't know. I never thought Jeff Teague was going to be a Celtic. Like, I feel like the Celtics always have these like really like odd, like niche players, like Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart. Like the Celtics always have like these just like interesting, like unusual players on the roster. And Jeff Teague is like a mainstream guy. Like we just never pick up mainstream players, honestly. So
yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like I feel like we usually like look to like the EuroLeague, like you said with like Tice. Even Wanamaker came from the EuroLeague, I believe. I believe he played in Turkey before. Vincent Poirier, like, so it kind of feels good to like get a guy in the league that you know what he's going to give you. And you like Jeff Teague, in my mind, he's obviously not going to be a game changer, but he's solid and he's honestly a really good option off the bench.
I like having his defense off the bench too. It's like, I mean, we had Wanamaker off the bench last year as a good spot up shooter, but like he kind of struggled. Where he struggled was like facilitating an offense. Like he was a point guard, but he's not really a pass first point guard. He was just more of like a guy who could shoot, and he's not great defensively. Teague fixes both those problems. He's obviously not as a good shooter as Wanamaker, but he can shoot. He's not a terrible shooter. I think he feels. He's not going to be a liability on the 3-point line, and he's also able to facilitate an offense if there's ever any Kemba health concerns or anything like that, or just off the bench. And he is also very solid defensively too. So I like it.
Tristan Thompson was definitely our biggest pickup. And Colin, you always talk about how the Celtics have undersized bigs who can't rebound well.
Oh yeah,
we finally got our guy.
Yeah, I was pretty when the Tristan Thompson news broke. Obviously, we had other people in mind. I know in our group chat we had stirrings of John Collins, which maybe was a little bit unrealistic, and Miles Turner was obviously in the conversation, but that trade seemed to get pulled off the table or whatever happened. So not really like a shiny big name, but we have that rebounder now. Like we have a guy who that's his thing is like just like rebounding, and that feels like pretty good as a Celtics fan.
I mean, he's a champion.
Mm-hmm. That's another, true. The only thing I'm worried about is that Kardashian curse.
Oh,
yeah.
I really like that signing. I thought what Colin said, what Steve said, like the rebounding aspect is what we really needed, and he brings that. The only thing I don't like is one of my favorite Celtics clips is Marcus Morris dunking over Tristan Thompson and then screaming in his face.
Yeah. He was
wow.
He was like on the ground and he was like, yeah.
It was honestly crazy. Like they were like this close, and he was just
That was awesome. I guess I'm gonna have to start to like Thompson now. I think it's a really good signing. I was really surprised, honestly. I didn't think we were gonna get him for that price. I think he complements the team very well. It's something we haven't had in a while. Good interior defensive and rebounding center. And I think he really slides in perfectly to our starting five.
The only thing is he doesn't have as much versatility as Miles Turner, one guy we were looking at. Mm-hmm. Although I will say Tristan Thompson was extending his range a little bit last season, so I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked down a couple threes.
Sharpshooter Thompson season. Let's go.
He didn't shoot that many, but I want to say I could be wrong here, but I want to say it was 38% from three.
That's really not bad at all.
But it was on a very, very, very small clip. But again, like Steve said, that's him extending his range. So potentially it could be there. Definitely the mid range is there. Possibly a 3-pointer if he continues to work on it in the shortened off season.
Remember that video of Tristan Thompson bringing the ball up the floor against Ben Simmons?
Showing off the handles.
Yeah,
Hey, just another
don't want that
game.
out of him.
he looks like a clown.
You have
Shot.
a pure stretch 5.
39% from 3. Correct myself.
But yeah, wrapping up the Celtics talk before we move on to the rest of the league. So Gordon Hayward, just like reflecting on his time in Boston, like if you were going to say a couple words to like sum up how you felt about his time in Boston, what would you say?
Underwhelming would come to mind first. It's not really his fault. He just seemed to never really find a rhythm, you know. It stinks. He was a shell of his former self. We definitely didn't get the Utah Gordon, but whenever he was out there, he gave it his all. So I'm not too mad at him like other Celtics fans are.
Yeah, I would also say it's a little underwhelming, but I really don't think it's any fault of his own. You know, like what is it? 5 minutes into his first game, breaks his ankle. His second year, people were expecting him to come right back and just be his just right back to his Utah self. But like on a injury that horrific, like you can't really expect him to just completely forget about it and just come right back. But so he struggled that second year. Obviously, this third year, I thought he started off pretty good, broke his hand, struggled a little bit after that, and then kind of got into a groove come playoff time. I thought he looked really good in the opening round of the playoffs. Then he sprained his ankle and he came back to Heat series, and obviously he wasn't as good as anyone wanted to be. So I agree, it was a little underwhelming, but I don't blame Hayward for any of it. I really think it was just the injuries that sent him back, and that's really not his fault at all.
Yeah, he faced a lot of adversity during his time in Boston. It's all relative, like depending on what you compare his time in Boston to. Like if you want to compare it to Utah Hayward, where he was actually an all-star, like it was a little underwhelming, disappointing, but honestly, I really liked him as a Celtic. Like he was probably the best facilitator on the team. He had really solid fundamentals. I really enjoyed watching him, even though I will say the athleticism definitely took a huge drop off from his previous in Utah. Overall, I would say, I don't know if underwhelming is the word. I would say underachieving, maybe underachieving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to the team that he signed with, Charlotte, they drafted LaMelo Ball. He's one of the hottest people in the draft. He grew from 5'8" to 6'7" in like a couple years. He's going to run the point forward. Really diverse offensive game. How did you guys feel about that draft pick?
I actually that was a standout. That might be the best pick in the draft for me. I feel like he might be the best player out of that draft. He's in a very interesting situation with the Hornets, though. They did just get Gordon Hayward, and other than that, I'm not really sure outside of that what's so great about them, what they have to offer. They could be vying for an 8th seed, maybe 7th seed at their very highest, but outside of that, I don't see them being too great.
Cody Zeller, bro.
Hey, I know all about the Zellers, the Celtics fans, and it never ends well.
I did really like that pick as well. I think he's going to be really good in Charlotte. I think he fits into the roster well. It's just there is still some questions, in my opinion, about their roster. I mean, they have the 2 undersized guards, point guards, and Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham. I think it's really tough to play them together as is, just because how big they are, and I think they're going to get killed defensively with both of them on the floor. But before Hayward and LaMelo Ball came, they were their 2 best players, so you didn't want to keep not have them on the floor together. So I mean, getting LaMelo Ball and then already having 2 point guards, I don't know. It's kind of tough because I mean, I think it would be best for them to probably trade one of them, either Rozier or Graham, for a center. As you said, Cody Zeller is their starting center right now. And they can bring out a lineup of either LaMelo and either Graham or Terry Rozier, Hayward, PJ Washington at the 4, who I really like, and then hopefully maybe trade one of them for center. I think that's the only way I can really see them competing for a playoff spot. I don't think with their roster as is, I don't think they have the front court talent to be able to compete right now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say Michael Jordan, although he was arguably the best player of all time, he might be the worst owner of all time.
He just hands out crazy contracts like it's his job. Like
the Hayward one's pretty crazy, $120 million, especially when he was about to do a sign and trade for $100 million.
Yeah,
and then Jordan was like, actually, you know what? We'll give you $20 million more.
Yeah, and then of course there's one of the most baffling contracts of all of basketball, which is Nick Batum. Just makes no sense. Just
they're gonna pay Nick Batum not to play for them.
Batum goes to Dynamite, but
it's funny because in Portland he was actually kind of solid.
I know he actually did. He did make some plays.
He's still not bad, I don't think, but it's just he's making so much money.
Right, he doesn't deserve $30 million. But yeah, if they were going to trade one of their point guards, I would probably say it's Terry Rozier. I do think Devontae Graham's a little better than him. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see Terry go to the LA Clippers, one team that I'm rooting for.
It's a crime. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Terry would actually be like, I think I'd like Terry to go there. I still root for Terry. Got a special connection with Terry, man.
I love
Terry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I obviously wish the best for him. And if he gets out of Charlotte, I think that will be probably best case scenario for him. And the Clippers would certainly be a prime landing spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard being a Clippers fan right now because like they folded in the playoffs. Like there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
And the
team, I don't feel bad about it, but yeah, they did. Yeah.
Like they went up 3-1 against the Nuggets. They were up like 20 points in like 3 of those closeout games. Like, What are you doing, man? Like, how do you close it out?
I don't know. It seems like there was kind of like locker room issues. It seemed like there was like, I don't know, just like some
there was definitely tension.
Yeah, the chemistry did not look like it was there on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, Montrezl Harrell was definitely one of the guys that wasn't happy, as you can tell.
It seems like it, yeah. I mean, he certainly made that statement. Going to the crosstown rival. That's a ballsy move. It's a ballsy move.
You remember that drama about Montrezl Harrell like calling Luka like a B-ass white boy?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh man. But yeah, moving on to like Montrezl Harrell moving on to the Lakers. That's pretty ridiculous how we would go from one LA team to the other. Like it's kind of disrespectful. When they play, it's definitely going to be heat when the Clippers and Lakers play.
I would certainly hope so. I hope that the Clippers actually like have a fire under their ass this year, and maybe they will. Maybe that will give them a chip on their shoulder where they can say, screw this guy. He left us. Now we're going to go out and prove that you shouldn't have left us. But yeah, obviously the games will probably be incredible. The Lakers, though, they lost. They lost a lot, but I think they got back even more. Like they brought in more than they lost.
I really
They lost the number 1 A Boogie fan.
Danny Green, man. Everyone was calling for his head in the finals, though. So maybe they're better off for that. But adding Dennis Schroeder is obviously an incredible pickup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, as the defending champs, they had one of the best off seasons.
I think they got substantially better. I think the Schroeder pickup was phenomenal. I think he's obviously very talented offensively. He had a career. He's great offensively, but also like he's very good scoring wise. But he also is very good at knowing when he doesn't need to just do it all himself. And he's going to be able to gain a lot of weapons now, and he's going to be able to. I think he's going to be able to facilitate that offense really well, and it's going to give LeBron extra wing scoring that I think he didn't desperately need last year, but I think he definitely could have used it. When he was relying on KCP and Danny Green to give him some scoring, and it wasn't really come through. It wasn't really coming through in the earlier rounds.
Yeah, Schroeder had a career year last year, and I think he's going to do a good job of replacing Rondo's impact. The loss of Rondo definitely hurts because he played a key role in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think at this point in their careers, Schroeder is the better player.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. Marcus Gasol was also, I think, like a really phenomenal pickup, and it was for the cheap too. I believe it was right around over $2 million a year.
Yeah, the thing about the Gasol pickup is it kind of makes up for Montrezl Harrell's defensive shortcomings. Like that's one thing about Montrezl Harrell is he's kind of short for a big man. So like Jokic killed him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons the Clippers lost. But yeah, the Gasol pickup was definitely nice, especially losing Dwight Howard.
It definitely helps though, like with Harrell, now that he's on a team where he's playing alongside, Anthony Davis in the front court. So he doesn't really need to, like, if they play the Nuggets again, you could just put Davis on Jokic instead of having an undersized Harrell have to stay on him, and then also LeBron as well, as LeBron can obviously pretty much guard anyone in the front court just due to his strength and his leaping ability. But I think the front court of like the center duo of Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol is also a substantial upgrade over JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard.
Yeah. And on the other side of LA, the Clippers, they picked up Serge Ibaka and Luke Kennard. I really like both of those pickups. I especially like the Luke Kennard pickup because I've seen some Pistons fans say that if Luke Kennard's healthy, he can be the third best player on the team. Like he has this game, he can shoot. Like I definitely like him as a player.
To me, I know a couple Pistons fans, and they were more broken up than I thought they'd be about Luke Kennard leaving. So I think I'm probably missing something. But Luke Kennard, yeah, he actually is like a pretty good scoring option. Also, Serge Ibaka, that's to replace Montrezl Harrell. You'd assume he'd probably be filling that role.
Yeah,
that's not a bad replacement. But yeah.
He's more versatile than Montrezl Harrell. Like he provides an outside threat, and he's also a better defender. One thing I didn't agree with though was offering Marcus Morris 4 years, $64 million.
That's like highway rob. Like he robbed them blind. I
think they might have, because I saw Morris tweet. I think it might be 5 years now.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
More money or the same amount?
Like same salary, so like same. I think it's like $590.
Okay. Like per year, yeah.
Yeah, I've just always had the same opinion about Marcus Morris ever since he was a Celtic. Like he's pretty much a black hole in the offensive end.
He's good. I didn't like him on the Celtics until we needed him to score in the playoffs, and then I really liked him. I don't think he complements other scorers well, but like if you're on a team that has some injuries and you need a guy to step up, like he can fill that role. But again, I don't think he's a good fit on like a team that's trying to contend for a championship and already has two great scorers like Kawhi and Paul George.
So yeah, do you guys want to bring up a couple teams that you think made some nice moves this offseason?
Yeah, I actually really like what the Hawks did. They added Danilo Gallinari, who I really liked. I would have liked him on the Celtics. Their free agency was really good. I should start off by saying that. Adding Danilo Gallinari. Rondo is, I think he's a phenomenal pickup, and a guy who could probably teach Trae Young a thing or two. Not that he needs to learn, a whole lot, but it's good to have a guy like that guide you through the league. And then you get Bogdanovic from the Kings. He's a really good 3-point shooter. They made some really good acquisitions, and also in the draft, they picked up Onyeka Okongwu, 6th overall. Wish the Celtics could have got him, but obviously just wasn't written in the stars. So I think they really made some good moves that I think they improved their team as well, and they should be in the playoffs next year and have a chance to make a pretty deep run.
Yeah. I really like I think the Bogdanovic signing was their best. I think after all the talent they've added, I still think they had like kind of a hole at either the 2 or the 3, and I think he fills that hole pretty nicely. I know I think it was their GM said in a conversation with season ticket owners, he said before they signed Gallinari had agreed to come off the bench. So it looks like he's going to come off the bench at the 4. I know people had been questioning whether he was going to come off the bench at the 4 or slide down and play the 3 like he previously had in like LA. But it sounds like he's going to play the 4 off the bench. I think the only issue that I see with that Hawks team, I think they're very talented. I think it just becomes a question of they have a lot of pieces. Can you get everyone the minutes they think they deserve? Because if you don't, I think there's going to be some unhappy players on that team. And like, how will the chemistry mesh just because of how many new pieces they have added? I mean, looking at like what they did in the offseason and how many pieces they have right now, you're looking at like Trae Young to start, Bogdanovich, probably Cam Reddish at the 3, John Collins at the 4, Capella at the 5. Then off the bench, you have Rondo. They signed Chris Dunn as well, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, Bruno Fernando.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to those Terrapins.
What was that?
Shout out to those Terrapins.
Yeah, I was looking at the Russ. Yeah, Terrapin. I was looking at the Russ before, and there was like 12 guys on that roster I thought should be getting minutes on an NBA team, or they had signed, believing they'd be getting rotation minutes. I think it might be tough to try and keep everyone happy on that roster.
Yeah, I think you do make a good point. One of the things I was looking at was they got younger, but to what you were saying, more mouths to feed, too many cooks in the kitchen, spoils the bunch. It's definitely, it might come down to their management this year. There's definitely no doubt about the talent, but how can they manage that talent and get everyone on the same page and towards the same goal?
Yeah.
I think having like too many good players is a good problem to have, especially for like the Hawks team that hasn't tasted the playoffs in a little while. So I think they're in a pretty good spot right now. They can figure all that stuff out down the line, but right now their roster is loaded. So JJ, do you want to bring up the next team?
Yeah, one of the other teams that I've liked, although they did lose, unfortunately lost Klay Thompson to the Achilles tear. I thought the Warriors it was a pretty quiet offseason for them, but I think they definitely improved. I mean, it sucks that Thompson goes down with the injury. Really would have loved to have seen him came back and play with Steph. But I think they improved a lot over the offseason as well. I really like their pick of Wiseman. I think that athletic center really fits well into their roster. I mean, previously you had seen them in the playoffs. They'd been playing like Draymond at the 5, and obviously he could fill that role, but he was definitely like really undersized. Now having a legit center, an athletic center that can floor like Wiseman, I think he should be able to step in immediately and just have a great impact on that team. And then also I really liked the trade for Oubre. I like Oubre a lot. I think he's a good shooter, good scorer, and I think he plays pretty good defensively as well. So I like that pickup. I mean, obviously you're going to be missing Thompson, but a lineup of Curry, Wiggins, Oubre, Green, and Wiseman really isn't that bad. And then I know we had Brad Wanamaker last year, and there was moments when I got frustrated with him, but I think he fits into that team pretty well just because of his three-point shooting ability and how they utilize that. So I think he's a decent bench signing for them as well.
So would you consider the Oubre trade to be kind of like a panic move after Thompson got injured?
If that was a panic move, that's a really good panic move.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've seen panic moves, and like a panic move would have been like throwing money at like Trevor Ariza. I think.
Yeah.
I think Oubre, not only does he fit that team pretty well, I think he's also going to be pretty good for the future just because of how young he is, and I think he'll be able to develop well and become even better.
Yeah, Oubre averaged like almost 20 points last season, and he can use his length to like be a really good, impactful defender. So I really like him as a player. I just thought it was kind of unusual to see them like jump for a trade right after Thompson got injured. But
yeah, they might not have done it if they had Thompson, but still, I think he's a good fit. And even when they get Thompson back, I think they can just sort their roster out later. Then I know I've pretty much been seeing like Wiggins trade rumors ever since he's got there. So if they really need to move a piece, they thought they had too many wings or something, they could probably offload Wiggins very easily.
And one of the bigger moves of the offseason was definitely Chris Paul to the Suns. Chris Paul's value was super high after last season. I mean, he was an all-star at like 35 years old, so I tip my hat to him. I think he really provides he provides Phoenix with the ability to actually be a playoff threat. I mean, Phoenix was undefeated in the bubble last year. They're definitely one of the more sexy teams in the NBA right now.
I think you're right. I love the Chris Paul trade was like out of nowhere. Like I wasn't really expecting it at all once the news broke that it was in the works of happening, and then it actually happened. Like I was pretty blown away. But another acquisition that the Suns had was Jay Crowder, who that's a hard-nosed veteran you get on your team. I didn't like him when he was in Boston. I think I was judging him a little too much, judging him the wrong way. He's a good player. He's definitely a hard-nosed player. What did you say?
I liked him a lot in Boston. I thought he was pretty good.
A lot of people did. Actually, Ty Bartley probably would lead the Jay Crowder fan club if he could, but I did not feel the same way at the time.
That's funny. I thought they did. I thought they had a pretty good offseason as well. I liked the Chris Paul trade a lot. I think he's a significant improvement over Ricky Rubio. I think he's going to be able to facilitate that offense really well. I think he's going to take some of the scoring like what's the word? What is it?
Load.
Yeah, pretty much the scoring load off of Devin Booker in the backcourt. I like that signing. I think they have a pretty good roster. The only thing that I didn't love that they did was their draft pick, Jalen Smith. He's center from Maryland. It was kind of weird.
Only one, too.
What was that?
That was their only pick.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird pick because they took a backup center at 10.
Yeah. Instead
of like maybe drafting like a wing for even more scoring, because I mean their bench isn't bad, but it's not super deep. I thought there was better people on the board at 10. I thought there were people that more fit their roster at 10. I just don't really agree with that pick, but I do think they're going to be able to contend for one of the lower seeds in the West.
And there's also a lot of uncertainty in Houston right now. There's a lot of rumors going around about Harden and Westbrook wanting out. They also picked up Christian Wood. He has a youthful presence to their team. He's a pretty versatile big. Mm-hmm. He averaged like 20 and 10 after Drummond left the Pistons. So he's definitely promising as a young big. I'm not sure, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's definitely some unhappiness with Westbrook, Harden, and Houston. So maybe they might be looking at a rebuild sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they also picked up Cousins.
Yeah, but Cousins is like...
I know. It's not the shiny signing he would have been a few years ago, but it's something to note, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. I like Christian Wood a lot. It's just, like, I mean, thinking about it, like, just because of what D'Antoni had done to their roster, and now, like, he's gone. Their signing of Wood and Cousins are, like, their only big men right now, because they had no big men prior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they're kind of in I don't know, they're in limbo right now. They don't really know what they want to do, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely going to trade. I think if they don't trade Westbrook or Harden, at least one of them, I think they're going to have a lot of on the court and off the court issues this year. I think they got to unload one of them. It seems like it's pretty clear that they don't really want to be playing together anymore.
Yeah.
And I think they got to get rid of one of them. I don't know which one. If I were them, speaking from just a Houston perspective, I would definitely try and get rid of Westbrook and try and build around Harden, but it kind of sounds like Harden wants out, so I don't know.
Yeah, they might wait until the trade deadline because teams tend to be more desperate around that time to make a move to kind of make that playoff push. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of try to play the season out and then trade deadline, revisit some trade talks. Because if you're trying to trade Harden, you're asking for like 5 players, some picks. So yeah,
it's a whole lot. Do you think he'll get that move to Brooklyn?
That would be so entertaining. Like,
I would hate they don't win anything. Every second of it, but yeah, it kind of would be.
One of my good friends from school is he's from Brooklyn. He's a Brooklyn fan, and I've been asking him a lot. Like, do you want this trade to go through? Do you want Harden on your team? And he's like, honestly, I don't really know because, like, they haven't even seen KD and Kyrie play together yet. And
Right, yeah,
trying to
true.
throw another superstar into the mix, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough. I mean, they'd be supremely talented, but it's just a question of does it work? Does it work together?
Yeah, one more notable team that I have is the Bucks. They actually made a move for Drew Holiday. I thought they actually gave up a lot for him. I don't know. I thought
Holiday fun for him.
Yeah.
What'd they give up for him? Remind me of the trade again.
There's a lot of picks.
Yeah, like George Hill.
Bledsoe. It was Bledsoe,
yeah.
Hill, and I want to say 4 picks and 2 swaps.
Yeah, they also lost Wes Matthews, Ilyasova,
Robert Lopez, Korver. I think Korver's still available though. I don't think he's signed with anyone yet. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't have a terrible offseason. They did get Nick Stauskas. Shout out to those Wolverines. Sauce Castillo. I thought the Drew Holiday acquisition was actually
Sorry.
Go ahead.
3 picks, 2 swaps.
Oh, okay.
Wanted to confirm.
Drew Holiday. I thought that was a really good pickup. I know you guys saw me. I was kind of leaning towards the Drew Holiday for Kemba trade. Although I said it wasn't necessary, but I would have really liked it. It would have been a trade I really liked. Although it kind of would have made us seem like we have a revolving door of point guard. So I'm a little bit glad we didn't make it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I like Drew Holiday on the roster. It's just they're giving up a lot. It was very similar to the package that the Pelicans got for Anthony Davis. And is Drew Holiday the same quality player as Anthony Davis? I would say definitely not. But
No.
I thought the roster would have been better if that Bogdanovich trade went through. I thought that would have been a good trade. The
Keep going.
DiVincenzo for Bogdanovich and other pieces. I thought that would have been good. I saw a report today. It was like Giannis's future in Milwaukee up in question. I don't know how legit it is, obviously. His future in Milwaukee up in question after the failed Bogdanovich thing, but I don't know. I don't hate what they did. I think they gave up a lot of picks. I think they're going to be better than last year, but yeah. What do you think?
JJ, do you have any other teams that you want to bring up?
Trying to think. I kind of like what the Timberwolves did. I don't know if they're going to be able to contend for a spot, but I thought they improved a lot. Doesn't look like you think the same.
Well, I was just thinking about what Anthony Edwards said about like him football more than basketball.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about his comments?
I am a little worried about Anthony Edwards, but I thought I still think he's going to be a great player. It just he's going to be a good player. It's going to be a question: is he going to be a great player? And right now, it sounds like his coach at Georgia, Tom Crean, pretty established college coach, was Indiana's coach for a while. Now at Georgia, he said he's never had a guy work as hard as Anthony Edwards. And I mean, I don't think he would just blatantly make that up. But again, that quote that he had didn't really seem great. But I think adding Rubio was a good move for them. You can kind of put Russell off ball if you need him to be, because I mean, he can play the point guard. I don't really see him as a true point guard just because of how much he's like a scoring guard. I think he's more of a combo guy. He can play point guard in like late game scenarios if you need him to. Adding Edwards, adding Rubio, keeping Hernan Gomez, I think was a pretty good move. I think if you can get a step forward from Jarrett Culver, I don't think that team's that bad. I think they can maybe contend. And I think their later pick, Jaden McDaniels, he's kind of a wild card. I don't know if you guys know him at all. He's from Washington. I think he plays
power forward.
Yeah, he's like really talented, but I'm also pretty sure he led either the Pac-12 or the NCAA in technical fouls last year.
Oh, I know exactly who this guy is now. I remember.
He's like 6'10", can shoot, good, and very athletic. So if they can like get him in a good headspace, I think he could actually contribute immediately. It's just he's a wild card.
Remember the Anthony Edwards quote? He was like, I don't know what Damian Lillard be rapping about. I rap like Lil Baby.
Yeah. Dude, and then he posted that video surfaced of him like rapping in the car. And like everyone was like roasting him. They're like, dude, you should focus on basketball. It's tough. It's a tough scene. Definitely a tough scene. I hope he does focus on basketball though, because he seems like he could be a real stud.
Yeah.
One question, one team that I want to bring up. They didn't necessarily have a great offseason is the Sixers. How do you guys think that they fared in this offseason?
I don't like. I've seen Sixers fans on Twitter like they think they have like the best.
That's always Sixers fans,
I know,
though.
but I mean, unloading Al Horford was a good move.
Yeah, I'll give them that. Yeah.
But I mean, it was their fault for giving him that contract in the first place.
Yep.
I thought the Seth Curry pickup was key, honestly. Like, Seth Curry's underrated.
So they got.
Yeah, I think that was probably their best addition.
They added Danny Green, Seth Curry,
Dwight Howard,
Terrence Ferguson. I mean, that's not really much. But you unload Alec Burks and Josh Richardson. So I think it's like kind of a revolving door at the wing. Is Danny Green and Seth Curry that much better than Alec Burks and Josh Richardson?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't really think they improved the roster that much. I mean, they draft Tyrese Maxey. He's like, I think we touched on it earlier. I said some guys come into the NBA really well. Like they know their roles.
Mhm.
They're able to slide into that role immediately. Tyrese Maxey is one of the guys that I could see potentially struggling to come into the NBA and figure out his role. Because I mean, he's coming from like a Kentucky team full of one and dones.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure he was their leading scorer last year. He was their man. I mean, if he, it's not a sure thing, but if he figures out his role, I think he could be okay. I don't really think he was that great at Kentucky. I don't really love the pick, but again, I could see him potentially having trouble figuring out his role in the NBA and trying to do too much at the beginning of his career.
At the end of the day, like, history is only going to remember like the top stars on the team if they win anything. So like, it all comes back to what Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty high on Ben Simmons, but
do you like them together? Do you think?
I think they need to get split up, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I wish JoJo would leave. I really wish JoJo would leave.
They were so close to going to the conference finals, like when Kawhi hit that miracle shot against them.
Yeah.
Like, I think they could figure it out, especially if they surround, like, the Seth Curry pickup was good to kind of give them some more spacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do have one more team I want to bring up. Do you guys have anything else?
No, that's about all I had.
Trailblazers. So I thought they actually had some solid pickups. I
kind of like them as well. I just didn't. I wasn't gonna. I don't know. It was like small off season, but I think it was good.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, JJ. That's a great way.
Giles, Rob Covington,
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Jones Jr. Like, those are some solid pickups.
Cantor.
Yeah, Cantor actually had a huge role for them in the playoffs a couple of years ago, so maybe he can rekindle that success.
He also seemed very happy to be back in Portland.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, my home. Like, I don't know. Seems like it's like just like a really good fit.
Everywhere he goes, it's just a love fest.
Yeah, he's just like that kind of guy. Like, he just seems like he loves everyone. He loves everything. Yeah. Except that Turkish government is true. Erdogan, I think that cat's name is. He doesn't like him at all. But yeah, I feel like they kind of got rid of a lot of fat. Like Hassan Whiteside, he has his like flashes of great moments. I'm not sure he's ever gonna win anything, or unless he gets some ring chasing contract, you could say. But yeah, like I said, I just feel like they cut a lot of fat off, and they added some players who they actually like were in very big need of.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying that. I guess Trailblazers fans have been a long time like clamoring like we need a three, we need like a small forward, and they're very happy with the Robert Covington trade. I think he slides in well. It was also awesome to see in the bubble, Gary Trent Jr. really stepped up in the bubble. So he's going to be like a good scoring option off the bench for them. And then I think the Cantor's a good backup center. I think they have a really good roster. I could see them making more noise in the West this year than they did last year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this upcoming season plays out, because they're actually going to try welcoming fans into the stadiums now. It's going to be, there's nothing going to be more COVID cases. But then again, then again, it seems like COVID is nearing its end. There are a couple of vaccines in development.
Fingers
So
crossed.
that's-
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
That is very promising. There's like 95% effectiveness. So,
Mhm.
I mean, the flu vaccine's like 45% effective. So,
Yeah, we can only hope. I feel like they just got to get some more. They'll be testing it more, and
Yeah.
it might be a little bit longer than people think. I feel like until it's fully out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's definitely. I know like that seems like a light at the end of the tunnel, but like I just don't want to give myself the false hope and then
yeah.
something. You know how 2020's been. You don't know what's gonna happen. Something just tears it down.
Yeah. And so this offseason was like the shortest in, I think, American Major League Sports history for the NBA. It was like 70 days. That's like super short. But it's good for us fans, but for the players, I'm sure it's pretty stressful. Like the preseason starts in like a couple weeks. That's actually crazy.
That's nuts.
That is wild.
Pretty excited. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
right
we
around the
touched
corner.
on-
I mean, it's less than a month away at this point, the start of the season. So,
yeah.
you know, it'll be here before you know it.
Was there any teams you guys thought did substantially worse this offseason?
I thought the Nuggets kind of
I was
stood
gonna say
still,
Nuggets.
whereas a lot of the West teams made improvements. Although, did they really have to make many moves? Because
But I don't know. I don't think like I thought they got worse. I don't think they stayed still because I mean they lost Millsap, correct? Or did Millsap
and Jeremy Grant. And
Was it?
Jeremy Grant was like a standout player for them last season.
Jeremy Grant and Plumlee off the bench. Wait, Millsap went back. I'm sorry. So they kept Millsap. But they lose Jeremy Grant. They lose Plumlee. I think those are two pretty big pieces in the front court. And I didn't love their. They drafted a power forward 22nd, but it was like I thought it was a reach of a power forward. I don't think it's Zeke Naji. I don't think he's going to be able to contribute right away. And they signed JaMychal Green, but JaMychal Green was a little disappointing last season. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they can slide into their team. As I think they did get a little bit worse. I don't really think they improved.
Yeah, JaMychal Green. A lot of Clippers fans were actually pretty high on him, but maybe that's just because they're homers.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he was pretty good. I think the year before, but I thought he took a step back last year.
when you're a homer, you inflate your home players' values like super
Absolutely. That's why Peyton Pritchard's the best point guard in the NBA.
high. Yeah, he's already better than Damian Lillard.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. Well, if that's all we have to talk about, do you guys have anything else you want to bring up?
No, I think that about covers
Yeah,
it.
I think we
I mean,
touched.
we could go all night, but
Yeah, we touched on like every team.
If you
yeah,
guys wanted me to, I could go through the draft picks 1 through 60 and just give you a rundown.
we need that. The people need that. The JJ early draft special.
Yeah, we could definitely we can reconnect on some future shows.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, hey, if I'm welcome back, I'd love to come back. I'll say that.
Yeah,
Come back
it's
again.
a fun time.
The 3P.
Absolutely.
My Dwayne Wade show. I need my Dwayne Wade show.
And does he have 3 rings, Dwayne Wade?
Don't put me on the spot.
Yes, because he had two with LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then one with
Shaq.
Shaq.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, so you need your Dwayne Wade rings.
There we go.
Wait,
There
2
we
rings.
go.
Right? All right, guys. That was episode 15 of Blasting Basketballs. See you next time.
Peace,
Yeah.
boys.
Peace. See you.